Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my second video about jaundice, and I'm going to take you through the general overview about jaundice. Like I defined before, I said jaundice is just the yellowish discoloration of the sclera or the skin due to high level of bilirubin in the body. Like we all know, bilirubin is just a product of breakdown of red blood cell, which always take place in the spleen. Usually we refer to them as the reticular endothelial system. So after the breakdown of hemoglobin, where we have bilirubin, the form in which we refer to as the indirect or the unconjugated bilirubin, it's always attached to what we call the albumin protein and then transported to the liver for conjugation. So in the liver, once conjugated by glucuronic acid, it becomes a conjugated form. The indirect or the unconjugated form, it's actually insoluble. But the conjugated, it's soluble. That's a form in which it is transported and excreted. So jaundice is specifically divided into three forms. We have what we call the pre-hepatic jaundice, that is before the liver, the hepatic, that is within the liver, then the post-hepatic, that is after the liver. Though post-hepatic sometimes is referred to as the obstructive jaundice, and the pre-hepatic sometimes referred to as the hemolytic jaundice. So in this form, when you have a very high level of unconjugated bilirubin in the body, that means the high level of bilirubin in the body is resulting from specifically breakdown of red blood cells at a high rate. Therefore, even if the conjugation is taking place, still we shall have high level of unconjugated bilirubin in the body, and that means the whole jaundice is coming from the destruction of red blood cells just before the liver. And when we have for hepatic, that means we may have elevated level of both conjugated and the unconjugated bilirubin. So in that case, that means there's a damage within the liver. Could be a pathophysiological condition. We can have maybe hepatitis, liver cirrhosis, or any other disease that may affect the liver. So if the liver is affected, that means its function is also affected. Therefore, the conjugation of bilirubin will also be affected. So the body may have very high total bilirubin level consisting of high unconjugated and also elevated level of the conjugated bilirubin. That simply shows that there is actually damage within the liver. Then we have the post-hepatic. For the post-hepatic, that means there is no problem with the liver. That means possibly the damage is outside the liver. We say it sometimes is referred to as the obstructive. So for obstructive jaundice, that means there is a blockage within the common bile duct. So when there is a blockage within the common bile duct, subsequently we shall have elevated level of conjugated bilirubin because it will not be excreted. The only way we know most of them, or 90% of the bilirubin is excreted, is through the feces. So most time when the common bile duct is blocked, we shall have elevated level of conjugated bilirubin and a normal level of the unconjugated bilirubin. That means the unconjugated bilirubin is all being converted to the soluble form, which is the conjugated. And most of the time this is associated, if there is high level of conjugated bilirubin, that means it will always be associated with high level of bile salt because they follow the same line to be moved into the alimentary canal, or we can call it the GIT tract. So, and another thing about this jaundice is when it is hepatic, we always have some other liver function test that is usually done, and the enzyme that we usually target is when we have the AST, which is AST, and the ALT. We have the alanine transferase, which is the ALT, then the aspartate transferase, which is the AST. So at this point, all these two enzymes will be elevated. That means their amount will be high in the body, and that signifies that there is a damage within the liver. And for the case of obstructive jaundice, we always experience a damage within the common bile duct, either a blockage or gallstone. And this is always favored, or we can facilitate, and with elevated level of GGT, which is the gamma glutamyl transferase, and then we have also the alanine alkaline phosphatase, which is the ALP. So that is about the jaundice. And more about it, it's when you want to test for the level of bilirubin in the body, we have also what we call the von den Berg test. We have what we call the direct positive and the indirect positive. So the direct positive, we shall have a purple coloration changing immediately when you add the von den Berg reagent. That will simply mean that there is very high, or there is conjugated bilirubin very high in the body when you have your von den Berg sample. Then for the indirect, we add a sample of alcohol into the test, and then the purple color appears. That means we have very high level of the unconjugated bilirubin, signifying what we call the indirect. And another we can look at is what we call the biphasic. That means we shall see all the changes taking place, but first we shall have light purple. That means there is the conjugated bilirubin. Then later, when you add alcohol, the purple becomes deep, or we can experience deep purple color. That means there is both conjugated and then the unconjugated bilirubin. Therefore, we go for hepatic. So thank you for watching, and wish you well.